Hi, I'm Nicole Kaye, and welcome to this brand new podcast called The Metaphysical Life, a show about all things relating to body, mind, and spirit. The purpose of this podcast is threefold. First, to provide a platform for people to share their stories, share how they are navigating life through their spiritual awakening, and at the same time, hopefully helping listeners who may be going through similar experiences. You will hear interviews with real people like you who at some point in their lives realized there was something much bigger and something so beautiful about living life on this earth. Second is to provide hope and inspiration to people who want to be more conscious and more aware in their daily life. Sometimes we don't know where to start, or we get overwhelmed when we are trying to make a change in our life. It can be difficult to become aware of thought patterns and the impact these thoughts have in our life. But once we are aware and once we take control, we start seeing the changes happening within our life. We raise our vibration, we become happier, we rediscover our passions, and we see signs and synchronicities happening all around us. So in this podcast, you will hear inspirational stories with mindful tips, ideas, and modalities that you can apply in your daily life. The third reason for this podcast is really for learning and education. You'll hear topics about things you may not be able to talk about with the current people in your life. Metaphysical topics are broad, and they can range from things like setting intentions to synchronicities, to dream work, to communicating with God, Creator, the universe. Anything that is non-physical is a metaphysical topic. And there are some people who are just not ready to hear about these subjects. So if you are one of those people who is open, ready, and interested in these things, then this podcast is for you. We will expand our mindset and open ourselves up to having amazing, deep conversations. Just to share a little bit about me, I have a memory of when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I was walking on the sidewalk in front of my home, and I remember it was a spring morning, the sun was shining, the birds were chirping. It was beautiful. And as I looked down at the cracks in the sidewalk, there was a moment where I felt like there was something bigger to this life on earth, and that I had a purpose. But I was 6, so I didn't really know what it meant at the time, and I grew up like any kid would and ended up living a life in autopilot. And then in 2015, I had a mystical experience, and then I went through a 3-year hermit phase after that. And what that meant was that during this phase, I didn't want to be around many people. I had just went through a change, and I didn't know how to talk about what happened to me with the people around me. I avoided a lot of events because I didn't know how to protect myself as an empath, and I would literally feel like I was bombarded with people's energies, and that's positive energies as well as negative energies. And I'm an introvert, so it was a double whammy for me when I went on these events. During these 3 years, I spent a lot of time in introspection. I journaled a lot, I read a lot, and I learned how to meditate. And at the beginning of 2019, I started to get a lot of signs and synchronicities that I needed to share what happened to me with other people. And I needed to help others who may be going through the same things that I went through. Spiritual awakenings are life-altering, and they can be confusing and lonely, but they can also be amazing, energizing, and exciting. And so my passion is to help people like you navigate your own spiritual awakening, whatever that looks like, in a balanced and mindful way. My hope is that this podcast can be a community for you to do this. The podcast is going to be set up in seasons, and we will have about 10 to 12 episodes per season. And you can expect one episode per week during the season. Season 1 is sponsored by Hollister. They produce products that are available on Amazon. They have an oil box, an oil shelf for the wall, and a scratch map for those of you who love to travel. And they are offering 10% off to all of the Metaphysical Life listeners. In order to get that 10% off, you just have to go to nicolecaillet.com/Hollister, HOLLISTER. That's the link, and you can go there. That will lead you to the Amazon page, and the code is metaphysical. You can also find me on Instagram, where I will share things that I'm doing in my life to help me stay present and mindful, as well as some behind the scenes of the podcast. You can also join the new free community on Facebook called The Metaphysical Life. I am so looking forward to sharing this journey with you and connecting with you about all things metaphysical. See you next week.